first outside hitter for
Italy ended a 24-year wait for a world championship. Perugia became one of Europe's most feared teams. Different jerseys, different teammates, same setter. Here's why Simone Giannelli controls matches in a way almost nobody notices. When people describe great setters, they usually talk about soft hands or perfect technique. With Giannelli, those qualities almost become secondary. His greatest strength is something much harder to teach. He constantly decides what kind of rally everyone else is forced to play. That sounds exaggerated until you watch him for an entire match instead of following the ball. Some setters react to the pass. Giannelli reacts to the defense. By the time the ball arrives, the decision has often already been made. That split-second anticipation is why so many of his sets look effortless. They aren't improvised, they're prepared long before contact. Standing nearly 2 meters tall with a spike reach around 363 centimeters, Giannelli also changes the geometry of setting itself. He contacts the ball from a higher release point than most setters, making it much harder for blockers to read his shoulders or distinguish between a dump, a quick first tempo set, or a fast back set. Watch Perugia against elite European opponents and you'll notice something interesting. Their offense rarely feels rushed, even when the pass isn't perfect. That's because Giannelli doesn't try to force perfect volleyball, he creates playable volleyball. A pass drifting off the net isn't necessarily a problem, it simply changes the options. Rather than chasing textbook positioning, he'll slightly delay his footwork, square his body later than expected, and still release a hittable ball that allows his attacker to swing against a single blocker instead of two. Those tiny adjustments never appear on a box score, but over the course of a 5-set match, they quietly decide who spends more time attacking in rhythm and who spends the evening scrambling. The biggest misconception about setting is that the setter's job begins when the pass arrives. For Giannelli, it begins several seconds earlier. He spends entire matches planting small pieces of information in the blocker's mind. Maybe he runs 3 quick first-tempo balls in one rotation. The opposing middle starts expecting another. On the 4th rally, Giannelli shows exactly the same body position, keeps his hands identical until the last fraction of a second, then fires a lightning-fast back set to the opposite. The middle blocker is already committed. The opposite is attacking against a late double block, or sometimes just one blocker. That isn't luck, that's memory manipulation. Giannelli is one of the best in the world at this. You can see it repeatedly during Italy's run to the 2022 FIVB Men's World Championship, where he was named the tournament's best setter while leading Italy to its first men's world title in 24 years. Throughout that tournament, opponents often knew Italy wanted to establish the middle attack through Gianluca Galassi or Simone Anzani. Knowing it and stopping it were two completely different things. Instead of simply feeding the middle because the pass allowed it, Giannelli constantly changed the timing. Sometimes the quick came almost before the middle blocker finished loading. Other times he held the ball just a fraction longer, forcing the blocker to hesitate before releasing a fast combination to the pin. To spectators, those timing differences are nearly invisible. To professional blockers, they're enormous. At this level, a delay of just a few hundredths of a second can determine whether an attacker is facing a fully sealed block or a seam that's wide enough to score through. Giannelli does almost the opposite. His priority is making sure the opposing blockers never know who the hot hand actually is. A middle like Gianluca Galassi attacks on a completely different rhythm than an outside like Kamil Semenuk. An opposite such as Wasim Ben-Tara wants a different ball than an experienced high ball scorer like Wilfredo Leon. Watch Giannelli closely and you'll notice that not every fast set is actually the same speed. Some travel flatter, some climb just a little higher, some drift slightly farther inside. Those differences are intentional. A flatter trajectory gives explosive hitters less time to be tracked by the block. A slightly higher ball gives a powerful attacker more time to see the hands and choose between swinging high off the block, cutting cross court, or wiping the outside hand. To most viewers, every set looks fast. To elite attackers, each one feels tailor-made. That level of personalization builds something far more valuable than highlights. It builds trust. When hitters trust the setter, they stop making last-second adjustments in the air. Their footwork becomes cleaner, their arm swing stays aggressive, and their vision remains on the block instead of worrying about chasing the ball. That's why so many attackers seem to play some of their best volleyball alongside Giannelli. He's not making them better through motivation alone. He's consistently giving them a ball they can attack with confidence. There's another reason Giannelli controls rallies that has nothing to do with his hands. He controls people. That might sound like an exaggeration until you notice how different Italy looks when matches start slipping away. Every national team has moments where emotions begin to take over. One missed serve becomes two. A blocked attack turns into hesitation. Suddenly, players stop making aggressive decisions because they're afraid of making another mistake. Giannelli has an unusual ability to interrupt that spiral. Not by shouting, not by delivering dramatic speeches in the middle of a rally, but by giving his teammates something much more valuable: a clear next decision. Watch him after an attacker gets blocked. Many setters instinctively move away from that hitter for a few rotations. It's understandable. Nobody wants to feed someone who's struggling. Giannelli often does the opposite. If he believes the blocker simply guessed correctly or the attacker made the right decision with poor execution, he'll go straight back to them. That decision sends a powerful message: I still trust you. At the professional level, confidence isn't built during timeouts. It's built through touches. Every set tells a hitter exactly what the setter thinks of them. Giannelli understands that better than almost anyone. That's one reason Italy's offense rarely becomes predictable under pressure. Instead of abandoning a struggling attacker completely, he keeps every option involved just enough that opposing blockers can't ignore anyone. It isn't just tactical, it's psychological. This approach became especially noticeable during Italy's 2022 World Championship run. Italy wasn't the tallest team in the tournament. It wasn't the most physically dominant team either. But rally after rally, Giannelli ensured every hitter remained part of the offense. Daniele Lavia could score 3 points in a row, then Alessandro Michieletto would suddenly become the primary option. Moments later, the middle attack would reappear just when opponents believed Italy had moved away from it. That constant redistribution forced blockers to solve a problem with too many correct answers. If they overloaded toward the outside, Giannelli attacked the middle. If they committed early to first tempo, the pins opened up. If they spread evenly, he simply gave his best attacker a one-on-one opportunity. It wasn't about calling the perfect play. It was about making sure the block never became comfortable. Volleyball has always celebrated the final touch, the thunderous spike, the impossible dig, the roof block that sends the crowd into chaos. Those moments deserve the spotlight because they're dramatic. But beneath every one of them is a decision.